Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Top Ends with Twins. We once again have Kyle back on the pod. Welcome back, my friend. We're happy to
Glad
see
to be here, I guess, somewhat.
you.
Welcome back, Kyle. I know it's been a tough couple weeks for you, so we'll kind of let's just start out with that. how are you feeling about FPL? Tell our listeners out there how it's been for you the last month or so since you've been on.
Terrible. Um, what I think last time I was on the pod, I think I was sitting third in our mini league, and I
hmm
have since dropped now to 10th behind Santi, who I'm convinced has not looked at his team since game week 1.
Actually, he did. He looked at it 2 weeks ago whenever I saw him and we were at a bar drinking.
Uh,
So,
so has not been going the best, but it's really just like I think what is harder for me is that my team has been solid and I've had the
right.
right people in my team, but I've left. I think I told you guys this in a text message over the weekend that if I took the top scorer on my bench, so just like one player on my bench, for each
hmm
meeting, I have left 72 points on the bench. And that does not include the game week that I transferred out Van de Ven for Reece James, and he then went to score 2 goals, keep a clean sheet.
22 pointer.
So add that's 90 points, and then I would be sitting, I think, probably around third in the mini league. So um, it's been a lot of um, pain. I did take one hit for 12 points, I think, one game week, which ended up working out because I brought in Gabrielle, and
hmm
I think by the time that the points evened out, that I ended up 1 point worse that game week than if I didn't make any, if I kept my original team. So
Right.
that was a case where taking a hit actually paid out because then I had Gabrielle on my team for this 5 week stretch where he's been just somehow getting an assist, scoring a goal, hitting DEFCON, just being involved in everything for Arsenal. So other than that, that's probably the highlight of since I've been here is taking a 12-point hit and only being 1 point worse for it.
Which is impressive in itself, right? I think that kind of shows how good of a pick Gabriel has been this season. We were throwing it around in the group chat, and I think it's kind of getting more popular as well. But Gabriel's a potential captaincy pick at this point with his goal threat. He's hitting DEFCON almost every single week, and BPS as well, right? So he's looking like a really good pick for even captaincy altogether. So yeah, I brought him in as well, maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago, and he's kept my team afloat. Without him, I would have just sank all the way to probably 12th in our league.
No,
So
Anthony Gordon's really keeping you at at your spot right now.
yep, yep. Okay, all right. Well,
Gordon was a great pick.
Man, we had to go there, didn't we? Early on, not even 5 minutes in yet, and we're already there. So that's lovely. And I'm so good at picking players in my team right now that are returning in other competitions between Anthony Gordon, Jeremy Pino, Foden. There's other ones. I'm drawing a blank right now, but it kind of sucks right now for as far as that goes for my team. So yeah, but I definitely do think Gabriel is essential at this point. Paul, as the resident Arsenal fan on this podcast, would you say that Gabriel is essential?
Yes, absolutely. I think we've had conversations about this. I would say that Gabriel and another Arsenal defender are almost mandatory right now if you want to have an Arsenal defender. I think owning just one of them kind of you're not even getting to a point where you're maximizing your points because some people are even tripled up on Arsenal defense, which seems like it was probably the best move unless you went to Rice in the midfield. which is crazy because Saka could have easily have been at a point where he is not one of the top highest returning midfielders, but over the last 5 game weeks, he could have been in a different stratosphere if he would have finished a lot of the chances that he had. And you have Rice, who has like 4 shots, and he's probably Arsenal's top returning midfielder right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Kyle, I feel like you and I were pretty unlucky captaining Saka last weekend. He easily could have had a brace. And if he does, then our weeks both look very different if that happens. Even if he gets one of those, weeks entirely different. But just not our season currently. So
Yeah, and just to add on to the pain is that I had Rice at the beginning of the season too. So transferred him out, I think, like game week 3 because he was doing pretty well. Now it's like, he can't keep this up. Wrong.
He did.
He in fact did.
It's the same with Caicedo, Gravenberch, Rice, all these defensive midfielders. I mean, Xhaka is someone who kind of popped up this week with a goal, but all of these defensive midfielders are bringing in points that, typically we see for Saka, Palmer, these more attacking kind of talisman figures of teams. And do you go to those CDM kind of roles now at this point? Because they're getting the points, but you would expect them to dry up sometime soon. But maybe they don't. Maybe they just keep getting the points. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's hard to say.
I agree, Luke. And the crazy thing is what we're going into game week 10, right? Where, we have a pretty large sample size at this point. We're almost close to a third of the way through the season. And it's one of those things where, I feel like it's just really hard to have a baseline for what FPL actually is this season. And we've done previous podcasts discussing this, but defenders just seem like a great vehicle to get points this season. Midfielders, the returns are sporadic. There are a lot of forward options. It just seems like even those are kind of bouncing back and forth. Like Voltamata, who was in my team, and 2 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, he's going to be a set and forget. I'm now having thoughts about him coming out of my team,
Yeah. Newcastle scored 2 goals today, and Voltamata wasn't involved in either one. So it's something to keep an eye on because he's been returning. And Paul, you made a really good comparison a couple weeks ago on this, but Voltamata has been very similar to Harry Kane, where when he was previously with Spurs, where he was, returning a goal here, maybe 1 goal every week. He wasn't having those big kind of like Salah of last year performances where he's getting 3 goals a week. So, he's good to have in your team, but keeping an eye out for other options might be smart. Yeah. Just depending upon whether or not he's getting 90 minutes and is he getting those returns as well.
No, I completely agree with you. But yeah, I think this is probably a good pivot point to kind of dive into exactly what we want to discuss on this pod. I think we're going to kind of just focus on teams. We don't usually do this as much, but we're just going to kind of talk about some general thoughts that we have on. We kind of put together a power ranking of what we think are the top 10 teams in the Premier League. We're going to go down the list. If you disagree with the list, let us know. We're up for discussion. We can be wrong, or can't we? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, look at our overall ranks.
I can be wrong.
We're wrong a million times a week on top bins of twins.
If you want to be right, go somewhere else.
What a selling point. No, but we're going to go through that list, kind of talk about different teams, their FPL assets to target, and just kind of have a discourse. It's going to be a good, I'd say, a metronome for where a lot of teams are currently sitting in the Premier League and whether you should invest, not invest, what are the best players to look for. So we're going to start off number 10 on the list with Brighton. They are currently sitting at, what is it? They are, I can pull up the table real quick.
I think they're 10th in the table.
I'm not prepared. Yeah, so they come in at 10th in the table. They're on 15 points. They have won 4 games. And yep, sitting at 10th at 15. Not a bad place for Brighton. I think they've had a pretty up and down season so far. If we look at it, I mean they've had some good wins. I mean they beat City early in the season. They beat Chelsea, Newcastle, and then they kind of struggled with United and Arsenal and Brighton lately, or with Leeds. They beat Leeds 3-0 their last match. But Kyle, if you're looking at Brighton right now, who do you think are the FPL assets that you would target?
There are two that I think I would target. I think they're probably going to be pretty widely agreed upon. Number, I wouldn't say it's really in either order, but Minta and Welbeck.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer Minta because I think he chips away. He's one of those players that I don't think is really going to haul any week, um, but he's going to get you an assist. He's going to get you a goal. He's going to be involved in one way or another. Um, Looking at his performance, he has blanked twice in the past 6 game weeks, or even further back than that. Looks like he's only blanked 3 times all season. So
70% hit rate. That's pretty good.
yeah,
I mean, we'll take that.
I really like him in coming in at 6 million for a midfielder, where like the we kind of touched on it earlier, kind of like the premium midfield options aren't really necessarily doing as well as historically. I really like that pick. But if you want to go somewhere else in the midfield, then Welbeck's not a bad second option. I think he's really in form.
He's playing really good right now.
And I feel like they have a semi-decent run. I think Palace is hard, and then who knows how Forest is playing. Villa's really just hit or miss. But come game week 15, they got West Ham. It's kind of like one of those like weird runs where they'll have like in December they're going to have like a good fixture and then a bad fixture and then a good fixture.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
He could be one. I feel like Welbeck could be one where you just bring him in, set him in like week by week. But those would be the two Brighton assets that I would go for, and preferably myself, I would stay away from their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too, without a doubt. I think Brighton have one clean sheet, and their first clean sheet came last week against Leeds, which they very easily could have conceded. Going back and watching those highlights, there were multiple opportunities where Leeds were just, half a step away from having a tap in, or just didn't, kind of finish their dinner per se, right? Where they're just not being clinical. So I would stay away from the Brighton defense as well. I think Minta and Welbeck undoubtedly are the two best picks in the team. They come in at a really good price point, and their differentials still. I feel like we keep hearing people talk about Welbeck on, however you're consuming FPL content, whether it's online, whether it's a podcast. Like we're hearing his name a lot more, but he's still only 8% owned by the game. And he's one of the top scoring midfielders. He has 6 goals. That's joint tied for second most goals in the entire league. Mm-hmm. So he's a great option to have, and at a really nice price point too, where it still enables you to do a lot more in your team. So I think both of those are really good picks. I think it's one of those where Minta, someone you bring him in, and just like Kyle was saying, he's someone that is going to give you returns, but he's not going to have those 15-point games, those 18-point games. Like those don't feel too realistic. Maybe it happens every once in a while, but he's not going to be someone like Saka, who on any given match could return two goals and an assist anytime he goes out there. So that's my only thing about him. It doesn't feel like he has an extreme upside, but he's going to be really consistent if you bring him into your team.
Yeah, I agree with you, Luke. I think it's kind of a way to chip away at returns, And I mean, it depends too, I mean, as FPL managers, do we want to make decisions based on form, fixtures, all those different variables? Like Kyle was saying, the fixtures going forward do kind of bounce back and forth. But I mean, if you believe in a player like Welbeck, then maybe you don't factor in as much of the fixtures, So I think
Yeah.
Brighton can be a good asset going forward. We'll just have to see how things develop for them. It's kind of like I feel like under Hertzler over the last couple of years, they've had really, really good moments, some kind of just like neutral moments, and they just can't put together like a comprehensive, like 38, or even I guess you could even say like 30 games in a Premier League season. So a little more
Yeah.
consistency, and I mean they're still a young team, growing, learning. So we'll see. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll be having a different conversation about Brighton.
Yeah. Yeah. Very easily could be. But I think that's a good segue into the next team that we have ninth in our form table. That is Tottenham Hotspur. And if you all did not see it this week, go and find Mickey Van de Ven's goal from the midweek. They were playing Copenhagen in Champions League at home, and in my opinion, scored the goal of the season. It was an incredible run. He picked up a challenge at his own 18-yard box and then dribbled through the entire Copenhagen defense and finished it with, I mean, this is the best finish that Spurs have had all season, right? And that's their 6'4" center back making it after running the entire length of the pitch. So it was incredible. Go watch it. But back to FPL. Do you all think that Spurs are an FPL option at this point, or would you rather avoid them?
I'm not even using my bias here. I just think they have so many things to figure out. The attack feels like it's fluctuating match to match between who even starts. And I mean, if you look at like their Champions League match this week where they had, let's see, who was it?
So in their match this week, they had Van de Ven scored, Odegaard scored, Richarlison missed a penalty. He hit the woodwork, I think, 3 times in the match. And then who else scored? Brennan Johnson did, and there was one more. I can't remember who the fourth was.
Odegaard.
Yeah, he scored once. I think there was one more. Oh, it was Polina. Polina scored. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's to me though. I mean, I know one of my biggest factors when making an FPL decision, just at a really like easy level, is are they going to play? and I just think the Spurs attack, like we don't know, like we don't really know who's going to week in and week out. They don't have that like set 11 that Thomas Frank really likes right now.
You went dark on us, Paul.
Right. I have a YouTube screen behind me that's a white light, and it just went to an ad. So thanks, YouTube, for not endorsing you during this pod.
You just did. But over to you, Kyle. What do you think about Spurs? Is there a specific player that you would target to bring into your team if you were going to go there?
I don't like Spurs.
Okay.
Are you an Arsenal fan?
No, I am hold a grudge against Van de Ven in Game Week 9. But I agree kind of with what you guys said, is that their attack just is not there. So if you are going to go there, I would steer towards their defense, if anything. But even then, it's a little shaky. I transferred out Van de Ven right before their game against Everton. They hadn't been looking good leading up to that. Van de Ven hadn't returned since game week 4 against West Ham. And who would have thought that in a game where Romero was supposed to start, then got injured, and against Everton, who until game week 9 had not given up a set piece goal, that he was going to score 2 points. Or 2 points, 2 goals. He had to keep a clean sheet. I don't think he hit. Did he hit DEFCON that game?
Probably. He did. He did. Yeah, he did.
So
Kyle's like, no,
right? No,
no, he did.
So as much as that game hurt and made me want to jump off the top of my house, I think it was the right. I still stick by my call.
It was the right call.
The facts were there, but it was it was tough to watch that unfold. So I don't plan on bringing him back in. My only Spurs asset right now is Vicario, and I still stick by that he is probably the best asset to have with them because he's getting save points. And I feel like Vicario's done this like year over year. Like even if they don't keep a clean sheet, like last week he had 8 saves, even though they gave up the goal. Um, so he's gonna get points. He's gonna get save points. They might not keep a clean sheet, but at 5 million, I don't want to jump up to like a premium. I feel like the only other premium goalkeeper that would be worth going to is Raya. But then like you have other ways into Arsenal's defense. So for me, they're kind of an avoid, especially with a tough kind of coming up of fixtures. They play Arsenal, Newcastle, and his price just kind of keeps rising. So that's just my thought on Spurs.
Yeah. No, I hear. I think Vicario's been the best shot stopper out of any keeper so far this season. He's been really good. He's been really good. He's saved them in multiple matches across Premier League, UCL, and he's making a tangible difference for them. While we were talking about this, we'll get to Arsenal eventually. Actually, I'll just save this question for when we get there, and that can kind of maybe bridge us into it. But we'll get there eventually.
It's okay, Luke. I don't ever derail the podcast.
No, we've got limited time here tonight, so we will move on to the next team. Following those thoughts, so let's go to Manchester United. Manchester United have been playing a lot better as of late. I think up until they drew this week against Forest, they'd won 3 in a row, which almost saved one of their biggest fans. Almost allowed him to cut his hair. Unfortunately, not going to happen now. He's got to wait, keep growing that hair. So that is a little disappointing for him. But as far as FPL goes, it feels like there's some really interesting options coming forward for United. We can look at Bruno Fernandes, who's a little more expensive, but he's on set pieces, always near DEFCON, and just swerving returns like it's his full-time job because that's what he does. But then we have Mbomo, who's a really good pick. So my question to you two, would you rather go for a more premium choice than Bruno Fernandes, or would you go for a cheaper mid? Like, I think there are 3 other options in the midfield. So you have Cunha, you have Mbomo, and you have Ahmad. What do you all think as far as that goes? Would you go cheaper, or would you go more expensive with Bruno?
I think at this point in time, it really depends on the setup of your midfield. If you're just trying to sneak by, Ahmad's a great pick. I think he's somebody that, he had 9 points last week. The week before, let's see, how many did he have? Yeah, so he had 9 points. That's his highest return of the season. I think he had an assist. Yeah, earlier in the season against Burnley. But the main thing for me is that if he's getting the full 90 minutes. Oh, what were you saying, Kyle? Go ahead.
I was just going to say he also got an assist against Liverpool.
Yeah. I see. So I think he could be a great asset, but I really think if you're making a decision, it's probably going to, if you really want a United asset, you're making a decision between Mbomo and Bruno. And I really do think Bruno is a great FPL asset. He has a good chance of hitting DEFCON. He has a good chance of getting a couple assists or a goal in a match. He's probably the one to go for if you have the budget, in my opinion. But Mbomo is in better form. So form to, I don't know.
Fixture.
I don't know. Yeah. What do you think, Kyle?
No, I kind of agree with that. I think Bruno scares me currently not having him in my team just because, one, he's owned by, 20%? So he is a little bit lower owned than I would have kind of pegged him at, but everyone talks about how he's very hit or miss, which I kind of agree with, but he's had chances to score, like, have like 2 or 3 more returns where he would have gotten 10 points. So I think with them finding form, he's becoming a lot more appealing because more chance for an assist. Um, I think his confidence is starting to get back up since the team's playing better. So very unlikely that he will miss another pen. But then again, like who knows if he's still on pens. But I still think he's the one to go with. And I think if you were to go a different route, at this point, I would go with either Cunha or an Ahmad. I really like Cunha. I don't watch United every week, but the games that I have watched, he just seems very involved. And I think if he didn't get injured, he would be up there probably with the same price as Embuemo, and he may have found his feet by now. So I think he's a very interesting option. If I was to do a double up, I would probably do a Bruno and a Cunha at this point.
Yeah, I like that. Cunha hasn't gotten the returns that Mbomo has quite yet, but when you watch, it feels like Cunha's at the heart of everything they're doing, right? Like we've talked about this on the podcast that Cunha is a lot of fun to watch play. The way that he can carry the ball up the pitch is incredible. He's probably one of the best at just carrying the ball in the entire Premier League, and his returns are going to come. But speaking of Bruno Fernandes, with his lack of potential returns up to this point, he has hit the woodwork 3 times this season. He's missed 2 penalties, and he's been on 11 DEFCON twice this season. So he's been on the brink of a lot of points, and his chance creation numbers are incredible. They're top of the league. And he's playing in a deeper position too while doing all this, which is pretty impressive. So I think he's pretty important to have. I wouldn't say essential, but I think you're kind of playing with fire if you don't have him in your team, because what happens the week where he scores a goal, gets a penalty, and hits DEFCON all in the same match, right? And that's a massive fall. It could happen any week, right? It's just a matter of whether or not everything falls the way it could. So, yeah.
And something that none of us kind of touched on, but let's not forget their run that's coming up. They got Tottenham, Everton, Palace, West Ham, Wolves. So
Yeah.
they have a good run coming up, and I am also interested with Embuemo going to AFCON. How is Bruno going to move up, kind of play in that more 10 role with Embuemo gone, because they're trying to fill that role, or like that leaves Ahmad coming in, and then also it could be Mason Mount, or is Mount injured?
Yeah, I think he's injured right now.
I didn't know if he was injured or if he just fell out of favor.
Yeah, I think he did get injured, but I think that was also when Cunha was injured as well, when he was playing. I think Cunha probably was first choice over him, but we could see Mount sliding in that position, because I think United at this point recognize that there's no one else that can play that defensive midfield position that Bruno's in right now. I don't think they trust Ugarte or Mainu at this point to play. So I would expect to see Bruno probably still playing in that same role for AFCON.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Lucas. Let's head to our next team. We're going to visit Stamford Bridge and see what the Blues are up to at Chelsea. For now, I think, how many red cards are Chelsea sitting on this season? Is it 7?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I want to say it's a number like that. It is absolutely absurd how many red cards they've accumulated through the season. I mean, they have a really young team. They really haven't been able to find it's kind of like a Spurs situation. They're still trying to figure out exactly the best version of their squad. Without Cole Palmer, I think they're just kind of lacking an identity. And in saying that, they are still what? Let's see. Where
7th.
They're 7th in the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're 7th. They are sitting on
17.
Why do I not see points on this
They're
table?
at 17 points right now with
17.
they're
Oh,
tied
there it
with
is.
Spurs and United for, I guess they're not really tied, but they're sitting at 7th on 17 points. Um, I think if you had to talk to a Chelsea fan about how this season's going so far, they'd probably be really disappointed based on what they expected this season. Um, but guys, where
I love Paul. Let me interrupt for 1 second. I love how you said that as an Arsenal fan, where you were like, if you had to talk to a Chelsea fan, like if you're gonna torture me and I had to talk to a Chelsea fan, I'll do it.
I mean, I don't want to alienate people listening to this podcast, but I mean,
Oh man, yeah. Okay, Kyle, what is your take? Is Chelsea worth investing in, or where do you see them going the next couple of weeks?
Um, I think I would hop off the Chelsea FPL train after game week 12.
Yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you could probably push it to 14 because they also have Leeds. But kind of like what you guys said is that they're kind of lacking without Cole Palmer. They seem to kind of be lacking discipline, and at this point, it's I, I feel like the past couple seasons, or at least the past 2 seasons, that Chelsea's kind of been a streaky team. That they're going to get really hot and they're going to score a boatload of goals, keep clean sheets, but then they're going to go through a stretch where they struggle immensely. So I think currently they're in the middle of that struggle, and I don't see it getting any better after Wolves and Burnley. I think they're going to struggle for a little bit, and then it's just really up to identifying when that streak of wins is going to come again. And just at a quick look, they don't seem really appealing to me until game week 24, where I think they will probably then be essential. Having
Oh yeah, for
West
sure.
Ham home, Wolves away, Leeds home, Burnley home. So
Yeah.
3 home games against teams that are and again, game week 24 is a long way away. Things can change, but teams that are currently really struggling. So I would kind of start divesting off of them. I think there are teams that have better fixtures, better assets out there until they start to find their form again, or Cole Palmer comes back and really
those Palmer
sets them
things.
again.
Yeah,
I think as FPL in general really needs Cole Palmer to come back and have an influence, or someone like Saka to start returning, or even just Salah. Someone needs to come back and
not
start to
Salah.
kind of shake up the meta that's established. Everything feels pretty template, but it's template in the way that it's hard to predict where the returns are coming from, especially in midfield. Holland's the one we can rely on, and Gabriel's the defender we can rely on. And Arsenal, like we'll talk about here in a little bit, but outside of that, good luck knowing where your returns are going to come from at this point. It's just really hard to predict right now. So, yeah, but I think that's my mindset as well, Kyle. I currently have double Chelsea defense between Kukurea and Reece James. I had to bench Kukurea last week, so I missed that clean sheet. But I do think that I will definitely not be doubled up once we get back from the international break on Chelsea defense. Well, I'll wait till the week afterwards, right? So I get that Burnley fixture. But following that, I have kind of a spicy pick I'm going to go with going into game week 13. So, and we'll talk about that later on whenever we get to your team, Manchester City. So,
No,
yeah,
don't say it. Well, yeah, we'll get to it.
yeah,
Trade
yeah.
secrets. Trade secrets, Luke. Don't say it.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm not dead set on it, so it's just something I can throw out there and we can, discuss. But on to the next team. So on our list, following Chelsea, we have none other than Sunderland. Right. Let me make sure that's correct. Yep. Sunderland is next on our form list, and they have definitely shocked the Premier League up to this point in the season. I don't think anyone predicted for them to currently be sitting in. I think they're in
Fourth.
fourth,
They're sitting in fourth.
which is crazy.
Yeah, fourth, sitting on 18 points, 5 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses,
Mm-hmm.
and an impressive 4 goal differential for a new.
They have been incredible in both home and away fixtures, but at home they have been absolutely top notch up to this point. And I think it's something that for FPL it's kind of tricky because they don't necessarily have that kind of like talisman figure, someone that we can go to and say we're going to rely on them to be getting returns, right, for FPL. So it's kind of hard to invest. I think the best path into Sunderland is probably their defense because they have two really cheap options there between Mukulele and then Alderate. I think Mukulele is up to 4.1, and Alderate maybe 4.2 or so, but both have had massive hauls up to this point in the season. The fixtures do get a bit more difficult for them, though, as we go forward. So up next, they have Arsenal at home, which is tricky. That's a really tough fixture for them, but I actually could maybe see them getting something out of it. I'm not sure. It'll be a good matchup, I think, with the way they play.
False.
I see your look. I see your look, but
Sure. Maybe
so
we'll
after
cross
Arsenal,
the half line with the ball.
okay. But after that, they go away to Fulham, Bournemouth at home, then Liverpool away, Man City away, Newcastle at home. That's a really tough run.
And then Brighton
So
too.
yeah, so following that, we just need to really kind of check in and see where they are whenever we're kind of like going into the festive fixtures or coming out at the back end of those. I think that'll be a real litmus test to tell whether or not Sunderland are for real going to be pushing for a European spot or something like that, which is currently where they're at, which is incredible. So, go ahead, Kyle.
I was just gonna say that's just like a crazy thought to think about that Sunderland
Yeah,
could potentially be fighting for a European spot. I'm with you. They've looked really good defensively. They're doing what I think a lot of teams that come up should have been doing the past couple of years, where they're playing 5 at the back, they're playing hard to
mm-hmm.
break down, and they're hitting teams on the counter. Um, like like you said, they don't have a very say exciting attack. They don't have someone in their attack from an FPL perspective that we're like we want them in our team. Um, so I'm still eerie of Sunderland. One, like you said, because of their upcoming fixture run, but two, I think the festive fixtures are going to be really interesting for them because they haven't played European football. So how are they going to cope with that many games in a row? But also, um, they are going to be playing teams like Liverpool City, like those high level teams that are also navigating the festive fixture with European competition. So there will be some rotation. So is it going to be a thing of Sunderland really step up and really cement themselves in that European competition during the winter break, or are they going to fall to a mid-table team?
Right,
I'm
right.
just not
Yep.
sure. So that's where I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of still staying away from them. I think if you are, like you said, go with one of the defenders, because for 4 million, 4.1 million, you can't go wrong.
No, I think Mukulele had a DEFCON hit rate last time I checked of over 80%. So he's hitting that 8 out of his 10 matches, which is an extra 2 points out of nowhere. And like Kyle saying, with the way they defend, how they sit deep, they're going to be withstanding a lot of pressure, right? So that is ideal. Whenever we want our defenders to be hitting DEFCON, you want the team to be defending more than they're attacking, right? More than they're possessing the ball. So Paul, any other thoughts outside of that where you would go with anyone other than a defender?
I think Xhaka could be a option. I'm not just saying that because he's an ex-Arsenal player. He has 3 assists, 1 goal. He's somebody that's going to float around DEFCON. So I mean, I think you could even make the argument that he's like a baby Bruno Fernandez in a certain kind of capacity, you know. And I mean, you look at his price point. I mean, where is he sitting at? He's at
5.5 or is he 6 million?
5.1. 5.1.
It's
yeah,
not a bad price.
5.1.
Not a bad price.
He is technically the let's see, like the the 8th midfielder in total points, which I mean at 5.1 is crazy. I mean, that's somebody too that I mean he could just keep getting better. I mean, he's Premier League tested. We know that's not a flash in the pan for Xhaka, you know. For Sunderland, I think there's still questions about that. Kyle was exactly right. We're going to see kind of what they're made of going through the festive fixtures. But I do think it's great for the Premier League that one of these sides coming up is like already submitting themselves as a team to be reckoned with in the Premier League. I think it's great for the game.
It is. It is. And just imagine that they somehow managed to get Champions League at the end of the season. I know the likelihood is very low, but could you picture Sunderland in the Champions League next season? That would be incredible. That would be a really cool narrative for the Premier League.
Imagine if they got Champions League and Newcastle didn't.
Oof. Yeah, that would.
Oh man,
that would be bad. That would be really bad.
I'd love to see those Joe Ellington tears.
Oh god. Well, we just alienated Newcastle fans as well, so we'll keep going, Paul. Okay, on to the next fan base that hopefully we don't alienate. Crystal Palace.
No, I'm actually very pro Crystal Palace. So
okay, tell us all about them, then, Paul. You start out.
So Palace, they have had a great start to the season. They're sitting at what I think it's 8th right now on the table. I got another ad.
They could be a lot higher.
YouTube just screwed me over with another ad while I was doing my monologue. But yeah, Palace have been awesome. Mateta and Munoz have been really great holds in my team, especially those matches where you can get like a Munoz to Mateta assist. There could have been a couple in reverse, you know. I think Richards is a good asset. Yeremy Pino, like Luke has, is a really good one. You can even say that all of their back line. I mean, Gahey, Richards, Munoz, even Mitchell has returned. I think he scored 1 goal this season. Like you can anywhere in Palace's team, I think you can find good assets for good value. I think from an FPL perspective, they're a gold mine. And just watching their games, I mean, the Bournemouth match, one of the funnest matches of the season. You know, they're just an enjoyable team. Glasner's done a great job there.
And I really like their fixtures to come, right? They have Brighton at home, which I think for Crystal Palace, that's a good fixture. The way they play very controlled, they'll kind of draw Brighton out and then hit them on the counter. I could see Palace finding a lot of success in that fixture against Brighton. But then they go Wolves away, which I like a lot. Manchester United at home. I think that fits Palace well. And they have Burnley and then Fulham. And then they have City, but I mean, you could even see them getting something against City at this point. They're kind of City's bogey team, right? So, yeah, I really like Crystal Palace. I think the top pick from Palace, in my opinion, is probably Mateta, and I don't have him in my team. He's one of those players where whenever Palace are playing, I'm fearful of what Mateta is going to do every week. So, yeah, I love Palace as a pick. Kyle, is there any FPL asset that stands out outside of Mateta to you, or is Mateta the go-to man there?
I think Mateta's probably the standout pick, but you guys kind of touched on it. Their back line's also good. You could have gone either way at the beginning of the season. I went with Richards. You could have gone Gahey. Gahey's been a lot more successful. They started at the same price. So that's a little disappointing. And I just pulled up this tweet that I sent you guys earlier this week, which kind of sucks, but that Chris Richards accumulated 168 points in the BPS system. That's the most of any player that is yet to get bonus point this
Which
season.
is insane. That's crazy.
It's just crazy. And it goes to show that like there are little margins that a lot of you could have gone either way. Richards had the better season, so you could have done that. But I just agree with you guys. I would have like one of their back line. I think Mateta's probably the best pick. I currently have brought in Sar this week, and for the main reason for that is that one, I had him for a few weeks before he got injured, and he returned both times. And second, to kind of just what Paul said, is that Crystal Palace is fun to watch. So I
They
like
are.
having my FPL team because I enjoy to watch them, and then it just kind of makes the game a little bit more exciting. So I don't
Mhm.
think Sarr is necessarily a long term pick in my team, but for their upcoming fixture run, I think it's just exciting and a little fun to have them.
I agree. I do want to highlight something real quick too. Like Luke was kind of touching on their fixtures. I really do like the Sar pick, Kyle. He's somebody that if he could play Liverpool every week, he would be the best FPL asset of all time. Like this man just loves a Liverpool goal. There's something about it.
He
It's crazy.
does. He really
Um,
does.
but yeah, no, I wanted to bring this point up just so everybody aware because we are selling Crystal Palace pretty hard right now in a good way, but their fixture congestion is going to be a serious problem going forward. Like if we look at December, they play December 3rd, December 7th, December 11th, the 14th, 18th, 21st, 23rd, and then the 28th. So they have 8 games, I think, in December. It's going to be a hellish run for them. And like, there's still games that they can win and that they will still perform. It's just going to be like as an FPL manager, Mateta may be rested, Munoz may be rested. Gahey, anybody is going to be more of a rotation risk with that heavy amount of fixtures because Palace isn't one of those teams that has they don't have a bomb squad. They don't have guys just sitting on their bench waiting for like the slightest chance for Glasner to look over and get like. There's that, but it's not like 25 guys on the sideline.
Yeah, it's not Chelsea, right? Where they have
Yeah.
5 teams worth of players that they can roll out into
their
the
their
starting
highest
11.
their highest wage player is like not even invited to the stadium.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. I think Palace though, even amongst all that, I know there is the potential of rotation because they're in Conference League. They're playing still. I think they're still in. Was it the Carabao Cup? They're still in. Probably still
Yeah,
in the FA Cup as well, but that'll come later on in the season. But I still think they're worthwhile investing in and taking that risk if you feel like you're going with one of the more solid picks that they have for FPL.
Mhm.
Yeah. But okay, cool. We'll move on from Palace and we will go to the third team on our list, which is Bournemouth. Bournemouth have really shocked some people this season. They had a lot of outgoings this summer where they sold a lot of players for really nice return. But what they did is they replaced them with maybe not equally as talented, but pieces that fit their system equally well is what they had just sold. So Bournemouth have been very impressive. Semenyo has been kind of the face of that revitalization this season. He's looked really good in FPL. Currently, still the highest scoring midfielder, and not in my team. As someone who doesn't have Semenyo in their team, would you all advise them to bring him in? Or maybe they're good not having? What do you all think?
what do you think, Kyle?
I don't know. I've been pretty hard set, and maybe I'm just like a little rough on Semenyo. He started the season really well, and I didn't think that he could keep it up because I felt like he did that last season.
Yep.
And then
Mm-hmm.
everyone was like, he fell off for a little bit, and then the whole thing, I felt like all season was like, when's he going to return? When's he going to return?
Right.
Which he was always involved last year, but he wasn't getting returns. This year, it seems like he is, and he's continuing to get returns. I know that he's slowed down the past few game weeks, which was bound to happen. They do have like good fixtures coming up. I don't know. I'm interested to see what you guys think, but currently for me, I think if he's one of the ones that if you have him, don't sell him. If you don't have him, I don't think it's the end of the world, especially with his price point now up to 8.1. I think you could probably get away going elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree, Kyle. And I think a really interesting thing to highlight too about like Semenyo's returns is as we've seen him go. So he had a 15 pointer to start the season, right? Then he went 6 and then 2. So to me, that's kind of like staircasing a little bit. Then he had a 13 pointer against Brighton, went 2 weeks without double digits, hit 18 points against Fulham, and since then he's gone 4-3-2. So there's kind of like a little bit of a pattern repeating there where he's going to be a player that gets these big returns and somewhat passively have consistently like a goal or an assist in a match. So I think that's a really good thing. But if we see, some more twos and threes, maybe it's time to move off or just find another asset that you think you could have more consistently returning in your team. But to me, I think he's still the best midfield choice easily because, I mean, like I said, there is consistency there. He does have the high upside, and he's at Bournemouth have just been really good.
Yeah, Bournemouth have been kind of a team of perplexities, in my opinion, because they're vastly overperforming their XG. Semenyo has 6 goals, I think it is, and he has around 3.2, 3.5 XG on the season. So he's really overperforming his expected numbers. But then their striker, who's kind of come out of nowhere with Evan Nilsson being hurt, Krupi Jr., he has, 4 goals at this point? I was just looking at this. I think 4 goals at this point on an XG of like 1.5. So really that's something that we have to keep our eye on with Bournemouth, that if they kind of start reverting back to the mean here, then those FPL assets could really decrease with how we're viewing them right now, right? Like maybe they're just, if you don't have Semenyo, I definitely would advise not to bring him in for the time being. Maybe if there's another massive point return, and just you got to bite the bullet at that point. But I think for now, I would be okay with not going there. I do think that they do have pretty good fixtures, though, which would be one good reason to bring in Semenyo. Or if you want to go with a different option, I think someone like Kluivert is really interesting to me because we've seen he's a very talented player. He just needs to be fit and be on the pitch to start getting returns. And he has been back to being on the pitch. So someone to keep an eye on there as well. If maybe you're looking for a bit more of a differential, maybe Kluivert, someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I think Kluivert did have a really good season last year too. So if he can find that form again, he was sneakily at certain points of the season one of the better FPL assets. So we'll see if those returns kind of get spread through Bournemouth's team. I think Kyle, I think it's time though. We're gonna start talking about your city boys. See see how they're doing. How are you feeling right now with City, Kyle?
I'm liking the direction that they're headed. Still a little worried that our only goal output is Holland. I know as we're recording this, Champions League day, they scored 4. Foden scored 2 of them, and Cherky scored the other one. And then Holland, of course, scored his daily contractual obligated goal. So I would say they're getting better, and I think Cherokee coming in, I've really liked it. I keep saying Cherokee. Um, Cherokee coming in, I really like him. I've enjoyed watching him. It is interesting to see how him and Foden kind of play together because I feel like both of them are best in that kind of floating 10 role. But I think this past game week they had Foden, Doku, and Turkey play, and they kind of had like this rotation that Doku would pop in that position sometimes, and then Foden, and it worked really well. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. Still a little nervous, especially at any point if Holland does get injured. I think then there's a massive struggle about where your goals come from.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is. And the thing with City is I really feel like they have a good run starting in game week 13. Game week 13, they go on a run where they have Leeds at home, Fulham away, Sunderland at home, Crystal Palace away, West Ham, Forest, and then Sunderland again. That's a really good run for them. We know with City they're going to be in 5 different competitions at once, so there is a lot of fixture congestion for them as well. But we know for a fact Haaland's going to play if he's fit. And with the form he's in currently, he could shatter the record that he established for goals scored in the Premier League the first year he came in. I would not be surprised to see him beat that with the way that he's playing right now. And I think where that comes from is City has done a great job of kind of bringing in new players that are more creative and allow them to flow better as a team. I think Pep has changed the way he plays. He's made his team a bit more structurally sound as opposed to just pushing bodies forward how they used to. And that brings me to the asset that I might be looking at for game week 13, which is their new left back, Rain Aït-Nouri. I would really like to go there from Kukurea. He has dropped in price a couple times. I don't know exactly what he's at right now. And with the face Kyle's making, I think Kyle was thinking about potentially going there as well.
Actually, no, I wasn't. But continue.
Okay.
I'll say
Yeah.
my
My only fear here is Nico O'Reilly. He's been playing really well at left back. He's gotten goals, he's gotten returns, but I think he offers more of a defensive profile than Aït-Nouri does. But Aït-Nouri gives you much more creative, attacking-minded left back, and I think Pep really kind of likes that. And it'll be great for Haaland to play with the left back of that mindset as well. So he's someone that I have on my radar. I want to see him start at least 1 or 2 fixtures before I would even consider going there in the first place. But someone to keep on the radar as well. Paul, what do you think about City right now?
I think they're in a good spot. Especially, I think they've kind of stabilized the ship after Rodri's been missing for a majority of the season. I think there was the expectation he was going to be back, and then after that, it's kind of like, man, we have to kind of scramble and put all these pieces together that don't really make all that much sense without that strong focal point in the midfield. And I mean, he just
Mm-hmm.
does so much for City. It's just expected. It's like Liverpool missing. I would say
Salah.
Gravenberch for this or Salah. Salah's on the pitch, but I mean he's really not this year. So you know, um, well, I don't know. To me, I think City are in a really good spot. We're just gonna have to see. I think their attack is developing nicely, but as an FPL manager, it's tough to decide where else are you going to invest in the team? Like we know Holland, he's mandatory in people's teams, in my opinion. Like he has to be there. I mean, he scored what 12 goals in the Premier League this season. He has to be there. But then you see Foden who scored twice today, Cherky. I mean, I know that Doku scored in the EFL Cup. Like you're just seeing all the other returns are basically spread out. So until we see somebody else consistently returning, I would say just wait.
Yeah. Holland currently has 13 goals, and that is with an XG of 10.2. So he's not vastly overperforming. I mean, that's a 3-goal margin difference there between his expected goals and actual goals. But he's that good, right? He's that type of player. If he's on, he's going to overperform his XG. So I think
I mean, let's be real though. I mean, he in a couple of these matches, especially a couple of weeks ago, he could have had 5 to 6 goals in these matches. And
this
XG may
past
not
weekend,
that, but like, I mean, good God, I mean, he could even be at a
all
higher clip than he is now.
all 3 of us on this podcast right now did not captain Holland last week, and we got lucky, right? He could have had 4 goals. If he gets that third one to go in, who knows what it looks like after that. So I don't know, Kyle. Any other further thoughts? Do you think Holland has to be our captain every single week at this point?
Not this week, just because I think Liverpool is always just a tough fixture with that rivalry with
They're gonna
City.
park the bus. You kidding
I
me?
think I think Liverpool will. Yeah. Which it's going to be, I think it's going to be hard for Holland, but I think it's going to open up avenues. So I agree with you guys. I think Holland's the must have pick. And then I still am unsure where to go. The most appealing for me is Turkey and O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
I like the spaces that Turkey's coming up in. O'Reilly has played really well, and I think he's also been. Let me just check really quick. I don't want to host too much. No, he's been playing pretty late
Yeah,
in the
he's been playing
games.
like 90 minutes, I think, 83, 90.
Yeah, in the 80s. So um, I tend to want to stay away from City's defense just because of how much they just give up on counters, especially against teams that you would think like a Burnley or something that they should easily keep a clean sheet, but Burnley sits deep and puts six behind the ball or six in their back line, and then they hit them on a counter, and that's just kind
Right.
of been the game plan against City for the past couple of years, and they seem to always give up a goal in those games. So uh, I try to stay away from them, but at this point for me, I'm sitting pretty low, and O'Reilly at 1.1% ownership, and like today he was popping up in the
Yeah.
box with some shots on target.
He had that one chance I think Holland or Doku squared to him, and
I
he's
think
taking a shot as the forward from the
yeah,
penalty spot, which is crazy. As a left back, that's insane.
yeah. So at 1.1, I looked at him a couple weeks ago. I was kind of surprised he was priced at 5 million at that point.
Me too. Yep, me too.
Which is the reason why I didn't go towards him. But now that I'm dropping, I'm a little bit more tempted, but I am a little bit worried because as of today, I'm pretty sure FPL put out a tweet about him and is kind of maybe putting the
Yep.
spotlight on him a little bit that he might
Yeah.
become a little bit owned. I still
FPL
don't see him getting above 10%, so not too worried. But if he has a good game week this week, if he does start, and that's the other worry is rotation. So I don't want
Yeah.
to. I could keep going on, but I don't want to keep us here forever. And I know Paul still has it to talk about.
I don't have much to say. What do you mean? 1 second.
Oh, here we go. Paul's getting a scarf. So in that meantime,
What were we talking about?
and here we go to the top team on our list, Arsenal. So Paul, I will pass it over to you. You can lead the conversation where you will. Let's talk about Arsenal.
All right. I mean, like we discussed earlier in the pod, I think Arsenal are easily the best defensive team in the Premier League. They conceded one shot on goal in October, one in the Premier League. And if you look at that, it was Nketiah going for a header that Raya basically he didn't really get to. So essentially 0 shots on goal in October. I mean, that just kind of speaks for itself. I mean, if you're not giving up shots, you're not going to give up goals. Like that's simply what it is, you know? So defenders, Gabriel, I think, like we said, is a must-have in your team. Calafiori, Timber, you can't go wrong with either of them. And then, I mean, you could even throw Sleep in there too because he's gonna be playing alongside Gabriel. At a certain point, he's gonna get a return too from a set piece fixture. And then, I mean, if you're looking at midfielders, I think it's probably Rice at this point, right? I mean, I have Saka in my team, but he's not consistently returning. The chances are there for him. So it's a tough decision to make, but I mean, I would say Saka's probably over a season. Over the next 5 weeks, he'll probably outperform Rice as an asset. But I don't know; those set pieces are just really hard to pass up for that Rice is taking right now. You know.
I saw something online, and I'm not sure where it was, so I can't say who it was from. But I want to get your all's opinion on this. Do you think Declan Rice is the I don't want to say miniature. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but the miniature version of Bruno Fernandes. So he's on. He is DefCon. He's close hitting DefCon. He's on set pieces, and he's returning goals. Do you see? I mean, there's kind of a similarity there. For what Bruno was expected to be, maybe that's what Rice actually is.
Possibly. I
I
think
don't
that
know.
is entirely possible, sir. I mean, Kyle, you look like you're struggling with your thought.
No, I think there's so much Arsenal FPL stuff out there, and I think you guys have hit it. I don't think there's really anywhere to go other than their defense and midfield. Um, I did transfer out Gyökeres this week. Of course, he scored a header, but then kind of mitigated that with him coming off injured at halftime. Still pain because he scored, and I was against Burnley. I kind of saw that coming, but no, I would go double defense, maybe even triple defense. If you're not going to go midfielder, it's kind of crazy to see that Rice at the moment is owned more than Saka.
Number 2 on
It
Yeah.
returns.
Yeah, it really depends on what you're looking for, and your budget, obviously. Saka has a much higher upside potential. He has a higher ceiling, I think, than Rice. Uh, at some point, set pieces will slow down. I think they have to, right?
Maybe.
Um,
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah.
so if that is the case, when set pieces slow down, I think um, Saka will then kind of make up that ground. But until then, it's just their defense, and take your pick, Gabriel and the other one, whoever else you want.
Yeah. Um,
I also will throw out with Gyökeres. Gyökeres is confirmed out for this next game week. Arsenal playing Sunderland away. I would say Mikel Moreno is going to be a pretty spicy differential. If you're free hitting, if you have, you want to take just a little spicy punch at the week, Moreno playing at the 9, where he has consistently returned, starting as a 9 for Arsenal, could be a really good option. Just saying.
he could be. I think Moreno's one of those where he's a free hit option, and that's about it. Because unless you're wild carding going into game week 12, game week 13, Moreno could easily not play for the next 5 game weeks after this international break. Because let's say we have Gyökeres come back healthy, Havertz is going to be back soon. I just don't. And then if he is playing, he's not playing in that striker position that makes him really valuable as a midfielder. So
For 1 week,
1 week
I
punt, I love it. I really like it. I really like it.
want a
The
differential.
within the Arsenal wrinkle here of you have to have at least one defender, maybe two. In my mind, I feel like the ideal combination is not going with Raya because I think there's a much higher upside with Arsenal's defenders because you have Timber and Calafiori both who have really good underlying attacking numbers and are taking up really good positions. Calafiori, if you look at his heat map, his touch map more specifically, he's had matches where he's taking 6 or 7 to 10 touches on the right wing as a left back, which is just crazy that he's doing that in the first place. And it just shows how attacking he's been for them and the kind of the role that he's taking up for them. He's gonna have a match where he gets a 15 pointer, right? Where he gets that goal, 3 bonus. He's not gonna hit DEFCON though, but I think any Arsenal really, I think the optimal defensive pick for Arsenal is going Calafiori, going Gabriel, and going Timber as well. I think those three hard to do better than that, right? I know you're really putting all your eggs in one basket there for a clean sheet, but I really love that setup, and I kind of wish I would have maybe gone there on wildcard, but I just didn't feel that bold to do that.
Yeah. We live and we learn, right?
That we do. That we do. And hopefully everyone has learned a lot from this podcast. We are now through the top 10 teams that are playing the best.
To be fair, I thought you skipped over them on purpose to talk about them later, but then I left it so that Arsenal wasn't the last team that we talked about. We skipped over Liverpool.
We did.
That's so true. How did
I just thought you were so excited to talk about Palace, and then
Oh,
we just
shush.
kept going. I was like, you know what? Maybe we just accidentally skipped over.
If that was Paul, that would have been on purpose, but that was me. And too many Liverpool fans out there. Wasn't
So,
intentional.
and
Keep
it
listening to
was
the
really
pod.
funny because it was at that point that you were like, hopefully we don't alienate another fan base with this next one, and I was like, oh, here we go, Liverpool, and
It
then
would have worked
you
so
went to
well.
Palace, and
It
I was like,
totally wasn't an
Yeah.
Arsenal fan that did it.
um, so and they're one of the more interesting teams coming up. So, what are your guys' thoughts? Not to run your podcast, but
Thanks, Kyle.
Kyle, you're a member of the podcast at this point, so
You really are.
yes. So Liverpool, I think Liverpool are really interesting. The place that I would personally go, and this is kind of a hot take, I think Gravenberch is someone I would really consider bringing in. Another player that's really popular right now who looked really good yesterday against Real Madrid was Szoboszlai. He could have scored multiple times. He's had that in the Premier League too the last couple of weeks where he's taking up really good positions. I think at what Szoboszlai is 6.5, I believe at that price point,
Yep.
it is really tough to beat. And I'm going to be honest, I really like Liverpool's fixtures starting with game week 12. I think we're back to the point going in after this international break where having at least one Liverpool asset is a must have. I wouldn't move this week. I think the City fixture complicates that a lot, especially with it being at the Etihad. But they have, going into game week 12, they start out with Forest at home, West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Leeds, Brighton, and it just continues like that. Going into the festive fixtures, we need to have Liverpool assets, and it's just a matter of what your personal preference is. Wouldn't go to Salah. I think Gakpo is a bit suspect to me, but I really do think at the price point, Szoboszlai could be a great pick for the week. Well,
Yeah.
game week 12, not this week.
I like that, Lucas. It's kind of disappointing to me because I feel like Ekatike could have been another dominant forward in FPL if they wouldn't have gave the starting spot to Isak right away, because Ekatike was in great form before Isak came in. His price point is a little high, and for somebody that we're not sure where he's going to be playing or what's going to be going forward, but while Isak's injured, I think Ekatike could also be a really good option.
Do we know how long Isak is out for? Is that
I don't know.
confirmed?
I think that was the groin injury, right?
Yes, I'll look it up.
I'm not sure how long.
It doesn't say on their website. It just says groin injury, 75% chance.
Okay.
That's his current flag on FPL.
On FootMob, they say he could return in a couple of days. So I think there's just not a lot of information available. It feels like he's going to be out for this international break and not report for international duty either. So, yeah. But I think, Paul, the hard thing about between Ekatike and Isak, once you pay as much as you do for Isak, he has to start, especially starting out in the team. You've got to try to build that momentum for him. And it does suck for Ekatike and for us as FPL managers because Ekatike would have been a really great pick to go to whenever he was in form. And even now, right, getting ready for this run. But I think
You just don't know.
I just don't know. I don't trust it going with Ekatike.
Yeah, neither do I. But that honestly is so funny that we skipped Liverpool. I wouldn't even have thought about it unless Kyle didn't say anything.
Good catch there, Kyle. Good catch.
You're welcome.
But to be clear with everybody out there, Liverpool was fifth in our list, not first. Arsenal was number one.
Okay, so last question of the pod, and I'll pose this to both of you. How do you all see the Liverpool City match going this weekend? And we can incorporate an FPL question within this. Do you think Haaland is worthwhile captaining for this match against Liverpool?
I'm going to say 2-1 City. Holland should be a permanent captain going forward.
I agree with Paul. I could see it going. I think City will, if there's going to be a winner, I think it will be City. Just based off of form and everything currently. Could also see a draw. I think Holland will be involved. However, just given the uncertainty and the difficulty of the fixture, I think this is the last week in quite some time that I will consider captaining someone other than Holland. I think after this game week, perma captain. We kind of went against that last week and got burned. I'm gonna try one more time and see if it works out for me. But I think after this game week, I'll go back to just set and forget on Holland for the time being.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that's the smart play there. I'll just tell you guys, I currently have my captaincy on Reece James. I really like the Wolves fixture at home, but then Chelsea flies somewhere in Asia and draw 2-2 to a team few of us have ever heard of, and we follow football every single day. It's kind of our obsession. So Chelsea aren't looking too good right now, and that worries me. But I also know Wolves are horrible, quite terrible.
They give up 3 goals to Wolves in the League Cup.
There's that as well. It
was 4-3. So, I don't know if that's a fixture to target a defender or captain them.
Maybe not. But I do think, I will say, Reece James is due a really big return sometime soon. He's had some really good opportunities just right outside the box. He's on set pieces. I feel good about him getting a lot of opportunities against Wolves as well. So we'll see what happens. Probably leaning towards just going with Holland for the week as of now. But we'll see what happens going into Saturday morning.
Yep.
We sold him pretty hard. I've currently got mine on Mateta.
Don't do that.
I like that.
Don't do that, Kyle. I'm totally not thinking about that either.
What are you talking about? You just said perma captain. And for those
you did.
For the listeners, this past week we had a text discussion about this, and the first thing that Paul said is, "You can't go against Holland." And then as the deadline passed, he said, "I captain Mateta."
Which wasn't bad. I will say Mateta did get a goal and bonus points, so
no, yeah,
not bad, but
better than Luke and I.
Better than Saka, who had 2 big chances, 2 1-on-1s he missed, which was very frustrating. I'll take it. 2 extra points, not just 1, 2. So, yeah, I think that will bring us to the end of this podcast. Kyle, Paul, any final thoughts for the listeners out there before we end this one?
No. FPL has just been pain at this point, so don't listen to me.
It's been almost an hour and a half of us talking about FPL. I don't know if I have more thoughts or thoughts that people want to listen to besides, go Gunners. That's all I have to contribute.
If anyone's still listening to this podcast, what Paul and Kyle basically just said, don't listen to that. Don't take anything in from that last hour and a half that you just spent with us.
We didn't
trying to tank your ranks so that ours can go up.
Yes. This is actually an anti-FPL podcast. So, yeah. But as always, Kyle, thank you very much for joining us for this episode. It's a lot of fun to have you on. And we definitely hope that your luck starts to change a little bit, because whenever you're, in those days and those weeks where FPL's not going so well, it's pretty tough. It's pretty rough.
Well, at least you're not Luke, who I found crying in the corner of his house last weekend. So he doesn't really take it very well, if we're being real. So
I only cried
about that.
I only cried about 5 other times. You only caught me the one, so it was fine. It's fine.
I'm
I'm
gonna
fine.
I only cried once that you saw.
I'm gonna send you the exact same clip that I sent you last week before the FPL deadline of the FPL general being like, just remember it's a game. You play it for fun. Don't get too engaged. I'm gonna send you that exact clip on Friday.
Okay. Yep. Yep. And I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Let's end the podcast.
All right.
All
Thanks
right.
everybody. Kyle, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks everyone. Bye.